Hello. Boccaccio's Decameron, first day, 10th story. Once Eliza was silent. Only the tale of the queen remained to be told, and she began with womanly grace to address them as follows. Just as the sky, where the young ladies, is bejeweled with stars on cloudless nights, and the verdant fields are embellished with flowers in the spring, so good manners and pleasant converse are enriched by shafts of wit. These, being brief, are much better suited to women than to men, as it is more unseemly for a woman to speak at inordinate length, when this can be avoided, than it is for a man. Yet nowadays, to the universal shame of ourselves and all living women, few or none of the women who are left can recognize a shaft of wit when they hear one, or reply to it even if they recognize it. For this special skill, which once resided in a woman's very soul, has been replaced in our modern world by adornment of the body. She who sees herself tricked out in the most elaborate finery, with the largest number of gaudy stripes and speckles, believes that she should be much more highly respected and more greatly honored than other women, forgetting that if someone were to dress an ass in the same clothes, or simply load them on its back, it would still carry a great deal more than she could. Nor would this be any reason for paying it greater respect than you would normally accord to an ass. I'm ashamed to say, since in condemning others I condemn myself, but these overdressed, heavily made-up, excessively ornamented females either stand around like marble statues in an attitude of dumb indifference, or else, on being asked a question, they give such stupid replies that they would have been far better advised to remain silent. And they delude themselves into thinking that their inability to converse in the company of gentlemen and ladies proceeds from their purity of mind. They give the name of honesty to their dull-wittedness, as though the only honest women are those who speak to no one except their maids, their washerwomen, or their pastry cooks. Whereas if, as they fondly imagine, this had been nature's intention, she would have devised some other means for restricting their prattle. And this, as in other things, one must, it is true, take account of the time and the place and the person with whom one is speaking. For it sometimes happens that men or women, thinking to make a person blush through uttering some little pleasantry and having underestimated the other person's powers, find the blush intended for their opponent recoiling upon themselves. Wherefore, in order that you may learn to be on your guard, and also in order that people should not associate you with the proverb commonly heard on everyone's lips, namely that women are always worsted in any argument, I desire that the tale which it falls me to relate, and which will complete our storytelling for today, should be one which will make you conversant with these matters. Thus you will be able to show that you are different from other women, not only for the noble qualities of your minds, but also for the excellence of your manners. Now, here we have a woman criticizing women, even if it means criticizing herself. But again, you know, this is Boccaccio's portrayal of a woman criticizing herself. This is actually, this is not a real person. So, let us actually begin the story. That was one of the longer introductions, especially for the length of the story. Now, not many years ago, there lived in Bologna a brilliant physician, of almost universal renown, and perhaps he is alive to this day, whose name was Master Alberto. Although he was an old man approaching 70, and the natural warmth had almost entirely departed from his body, his heart was so noble that he was not averse to welcoming the flames of love. One day, whilst attending a feast, he had seen a strikingly beautiful woman, a widow whose name, according to some accounts, was Margherita de Geloresi, and I know I'm butchering that. He was mightily attracted by the lady, and no differently than if he had been in the prime of his youth, he felt those flames so keenly in his mature old breast that he never seemed able to sleep at night, unless in the course of the day he had seen the fair lady's fine and delicate features. Hence he began to pass regularly up and down in front of the lady's house, sometimes on foot and sometimes on horseback, depending on his mood, and accordingly both she and several other ladies quickly divined his motive, and often jested with one another to see a man of such great age and wisdom caught in the toils of love. For the good lady seemed to support that the delightful sensations of love could take root and thrive in no other place than the frivolous hearts of the young. Master Alberto continued to pass up and down, and one Sunday, whilst the lady happened to be seated outside her front door with a number of other ladies, they caught sight of him in the distance, coming in their direction, whereupon they all resolved, with the lady's agreement, to receive him and do him honor, and then make fun of him over this great passion of his. And that was precisely what they did. For they all stood up and invited him to accompany them into a cool walled garden, where they plied him with excellent wines and sweetmeats, and eventually they asked him charmingly, and with good grace, how it came about that he had fallen in love with this fair lady, when he was well aware that she was being courted by many a handsome, well-bred, and sprightly young admirer. On hearing himself chided so politely, the doctor replied, smiling broadly, "My lady, the fact that I am enamored should not excite the wonder of anyone who is wise, and especially not your own, because you are worthy of my love. For albeit old men are naturally deficient in the powers required for love-making, they do not necessarily lack a ready will, or a just appreciation of what should be loved. On the contrary, in this respect, their longer experience gives them an advantage over the young. The hope which sustains an old man like myself, and loving one who is loved as you are by many young men, is founded on what I have often observed in places where I have seen ladies eat lupins and leeks whilst taking a meal out of doors. For although no part of the leek is good, yet the part which is less objectionable and more pleasing to the palate is the root, which you ladies are generally drawn by aberration of the appetite to hold in the hand, while you eat the leaves, which are not only worthless, but have an unpleasant taste. How am I to know, my lady, whether you are not equally eccentric in choosing your lovers? For if this were so, I should be the one you would choose, and the others would be cast aside." The gentlewoman, who, along with the others, was feeling somewhat abashed, replied, "Oh, Master Alberto, you have given us a charming and very sound reproof for our presumptuousness. Your love is none the less precious to me, since it proceeds from so patiently wise and excellent a man, and therefore, saving my honor, you are free to ask of me what you will, and regard it as yours." The doctor stood up with his companions, thanked the lady, took his leave of her amid much laughter and merriment, and departed. Thus the lady, thinking she would score a victory, underestimated the object of her raillery, and was herself defeated. And if you ladies are wise, you will guard against following her example. And that's the end of the story. And I will somehow turn this off. Yeah, Boccaccio, it's interesting how he portrays women. And it's also interesting how he portrays women portraying women. Not the most woke person on earth, but, think about the times. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.